Your ability as a rugby player to dominate collisions is going to depend highly on three things. And if you want to learn more about how you can prep your body for rugby and become dominant, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I post one video every single week helping you become a better rugby athlete. So in today's episode, we're going to split three different focuses on how you can start dominating collisions a lot more within the game of rugby. And we're going to treat it like a tiered system. So the bottom part is the foundation, and without the bottom part, we're not really effective in the middle part or the icing on the cake at the top. So what is the foundation of you being able to dominate more collisions? In the sense of what should you be focusing on in the gym? So the foundation of this pyramid is going to be hypertrophy work. Basically, hypertrophy just means you're trying to grow muscle. The reason why this is the foundation is because the more muscle mass you have, the more potential you have then to produce a lot of force, and then the more potential you have to be able to produce that force quickly. So without having the hypertrophy section here, the next parts don't really count for a lot. As a rugby player, then how do you focus on hypertrophy and what do you need to be doing on a daily or a weekly basis? Now, a lot of people assume that if you're chasing muscle growth, then you need to do high volume, light work. And this is not exactly the case. The key ways that you are going to start developing a lot of muscle mass is to still lift heavy through a very, very large range of motion. Make sure that you progressively overload the muscle, meaning that every single week you're either adding reps, you're either adding weight, you're either slowing down the tempo, adding sets. There's so many ways that you can overload the muscle here. Now, we're not going to get too much into like the nutrition side of things and things like that to make sure obviously that you're building muscle. We're just more talking about the gym work here. Okay, so you need to make sure that you're stressing the muscles and a large range of motions and making sure that you're landing pretty close to failure on most of your sets. This is really going to drive that hypertrophic response that you want, and in return build you way more potential to become stronger and more powerful down the line. So the second step to you becoming way more dominant within the collisions then is now you've earned the right because you've got the muscle mass there, and now we can turn that newfound muscle mass into max strength. And the reason being is because you now have more potential. You have bigger muscles, which means you have more potential to produce more force through those muscles. And then it bleeds into the next one, where basically the more max strength you have, the more potential you have to be a powerful athlete, which of course is really important for collisions. And how you're going to work through this, increase your max strength, you want to make sure that you're lifting anywhere between sort of 80% to 95% of your 1RM, and the rep range is going to be anywhere between sort of 1 and 5 reps. You want to make sure that you're bringing high intent to every single rep, even if it's really heavy. So even if you're lifting at around 85-90%, you still want to be moving that barbell with max intent. In terms of exercise selection, you want to make sure that you're building max strength through compound movements, things like back squat, front squat, deadlifts, bench press, all the big lifts that we want to make sure that we're doing to make sure that obviously we're building the strength then in the right areas. And the key component here, which a lot of athletes get wrong, is that when you're building max strength, you have to be a little bit more patient and a little bit more disciplined with your rest times, okay? If you were trying to do a set of 3 at like 87%, 90%, and then you're only resting like 90 seconds between sets, the quality of your sets are just not going to be there, and you're not going to be able to lift successfully, okay? So you need to make sure that you're resting like a minimum of 2 minutes, ideally 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on how high of an intensity that you go within that max strength work. So now that you're really building the foundations to help you dominate collisions, you've now built a lot of muscle, you've now turned that muscle into lots of strength. Now it's making sure then that we know how to produce that strength very quickly on a dime, okay? And how we do that is to make sure that we develop our rate of force development. And essentially, to keep things really simple for you, rate of force development is simply how fast can you go from 0 to producing as much force as you need to be able to be effective within that scenario in rugby. We've all had those athletes and those experiences where we may have collided with an athlete and they were on a dead stop, but they managed to build enough momentum to drive you backwards. These athletes have high levels of rate of force development. They literally are able to produce a lot of force on a dime. And that is really, really key for you to be able to dominate collisions no matter what situation that you're in. Essentially, a rugby athlete with high rate of force development hits you before you even realized it. which is exactly where we want to get you. How you're going to do this is basically training your body to produce that force quickly through jumps, whether it's horizontal jumps, whether it's vertical jumps, med ball throws, so making sure that you're throwing the med ball with maximum intent, Olympic lift variations, sled pushes, as long as they're really, really aggressive and really have that max intent there. Anything that's going to allow you to produce that force very quickly in order to be successful in that movement. Okay, so an example of this is that you could have some trap bar jumps at like 30 to 40%. You don't really want to go too heavy on the rate of force development stuff, and you just practice the ability to be able to move that barbell, move the trap bar, as fast as possible, which is going to help then obviously teach your body, because it's a skill, it's going to teach your body to be able to start producing that force on a dime that you need to. Okay, so this guys here, right, this is the overall sort of theme that you guys need to be working towards now. No matter what part of the season that you're in, okay, you want to make sure that you have lots and lots of muscle mass, because without muscle mass, there's no foundation for us to produce force in the first place. Then once we're able to have that muscle mass there, and you have more potential to produce force, then it's time to teach your body, right, I've got the muscle, let's make use of that muscle now by producing lots of force. And essentially that's where the strength comes in. And then once we've mastered the strength work, then we need to make sure that the rate of force development is there. So the newfound strength that you have, you're then able to produce that in an instant. It's pointless trying to do this if you don't have this. It's pointless trying to do this if you don't have this. So you need to make sure that you're ticking those steps off in order. That is really where your development is going to come from in terms of dominating collisions on the field. And guys, if you have any questions on this, make sure to drop them below in the comments. Or if you feel like you want a bit of coaching and you want me to help you on your rugby journey and take care of all of this so that you can focus on just being a great rugby player, I'll leave the link in the description below. My Rugby 365 program is literally built to help you dominate collisions. And I coach a lot of people in all different areas as well, okay, in terms of the mindset, going into contact and things like that. We deep dive all of that in Rugby 365, okay, guys? So, hopefully this has given you some clear sort of structure. It's a bit of a short, sharp one today, give you a bit of clear structure on what you can start focusing on to help you dominate those collisions.